let us contemplate on Sri Shankara's teachings on the self-realization and Brahman realization and realization that Sarvam Khaluvida Brahma, all this is Brahman. So in our empirical experience, in our day-to-day empirical experience, we see the vast world, the infinite world, consisting of living beings, non-living beings, stars, planets, galaxies, in the empirical level. Then I am there. Then there is what we call as God, consciousness, Brahman is there. So there are three realities. The world is there, I am there, and Brahman is there. Are there three realities? Three parallel realities? There are no three parallel realities. There's only one reality, and that's called Brahman, supreme reality, consciousness. What is the nature of that supreme reality? It's undifferentiated. There is no differences. There are no parts in that. It's nirvikalpa. It's nirakara, no form. It is of the nature of bliss. But my experience is there are three realities: the world, me, and Brahman. The realization involves this self-knowledge, Atmadana, which leads to Brahmadana. Okay, which is actually of the nature of truth, Satya. So that's why I say Atmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Satyaдаrshanam. When you do Satya Darshana, the Mithya nature will go, the illusory nature will go. So, as per Sri Shankara, the realizing yourself is same as realizing Brahman. They are not different. You are realizing your own nature is realizing the supreme reality, Brahman, pure consciousness, Brahman. They are not different. So, what is the nature of Brahman? Undifferentiated, nirvikalpa, nirakara, anandarupa. So, what happens when you realize Brahman? The empirical self, okay, empirical self contemplates I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. First, empirical self contemplates I am Sakshi. So then, empirical self contemplates I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. As the contemplation proceeds, the empirical self understands its mithya nature, illusory nature. Okay, it merges with the Brahman. There's no more empirical self left. There's no more empirical self. Then what is there is Brahman only. The example for this is the salt doll. When it goes and meets the ocean, there's no more salt doll, but ocean alone remains. Empirical self, which is Jiva, when it finds identity with Brahman or supreme reality, there is no more empirical self. That's why all Upanishads say the knower of Brahman becomes Brahman itself. Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. Knower of Brahman becomes Brahman itself. So it doesn't that mean that becoming, it was already Brahman. Okay, Jiva, ego, was already Brahman, but it had, because of the illusion, because of the ignorance, it was thinking it is separate from Brahman. Okay, it was thinking it's separate from Brahman. Now it understands oneness with the Brahman. The one it's when it understands one is Brahman, it becomes Brahman only. There's no other. There's nothing else. It becomes an undifferentiated mass of consciousness. Okay. So, and that is state of bliss, non-duality. Now the question comes: there were earlier three realities: Brahma, Jiva, and the world. The Jiva has become with Brahma. Oh, now there is a world which is left. Right? So simultaneously, once you realize Brahman as pure awareness, how do you realize? You realize it in transcendental state. From empirical experience, you go to transcendental state. Empirical experience involves the knower known knowledge. When you go to transcendental state, the knower known knowledge merges into pure awareness, pradnana. It is undifferentiated. And the nature of empirical experience, I have told you already. It is like a sleep with awareness. In deep sleep, you can't say, I am sleeping. But in samadhi or turiya or in a state of full awareness, you are fully restful, the mind is still, and you are fully aware, and you can as well say, I am I'm sleeping, because you are aware. The awareness is there. In that state, there is no differentiation between Brahman, Jiva, and the world. It's undifferentiated. The differences disappear. Brahman, Jiva, and world. There's no difference in that undifferentiated. Jiva has become one with Brahman, and world also has become one with Brahman. So now let's say somebody comes back from transcendental state to the empirical state. There's an empirical experience now, right? Because senses are there, body is there, you can see the world. So what does he see in the world? What is the experience of the world? That's called Sarvatma Bhava, or I am all this. The Brahman is all this. There's no other. In the transcendental state, you realize the Brahman is non-dual. There is no other. Only pure consciousness there. From the transcendental state, you come back to empirical state. But Jiva has already found oneness with Brahman. So now Brahman alone is there, seeing the world to the body and mind. Right? What is the experience? Is there experience of differences? Is the world different from Brahman? So at that stage, what is the person who says, realize Brahman, says, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. Idam means all this is Brahman. So there were three realities to start with. Aham means me, from supreme reality, and Idam means world. Idam, Tat, Aham. So by the teaching of Tattvamasi, I meditated and realized that Aham Brahmasmi. I became one with Brahman. Jiva becomes one with Brahman. Then you open your eyes from the transcendental state. The world is there. World appears with the differentiation, right? So how does the world appear to a Gnani, a realized person? The answer is Sarvam Khaluvida Brahma. All this is also Brahman. From Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, to all this is Brahman. This is the realization. So all this is realization means what? I see a mountain. Okay. There's a mountain. Is there a difference? Earlier I told that there's no parts in Brahman, but I'm seeing mountain. I'm seeing stars. I'm seeing the moon. So am I not seeing the differences? Is there a difference? The moon is different from mountain. When I see the moon, the seer is there. I am there, which is consciousness. When I see the mountain, I am there, the consciousness there. There is nothing which you can see without the seer in seer. The seer is consciousness. Everything in the world is seen only when there is a seer is there, consciousness. The jiva has become with Brahman, with one has become Brahman. Now there is a seer. The seer is consciousness. Can you experience anything without a seer? So every experience depends on the seer. So the experience is mithya, the seer is satya. Mithya means dependent reality. Mithya means an appearance. The seer alone is the reality. So in any experience, the underlying factor is the seer. There are infinite things you see in the world, but underlying factor is only one, which is the seer. The seer is the undifferentiated consciousness in all seen. The seen is superimposed on the seer because of the sense organs. The five sense organs are there. The five sense organs are like five blind men. They're trying to feed an elephant. The leg, the tail, the trunk, the teeth. Each of them experience that elephant in different way. Same way, the sense organs, five sense organs, experience the one undifferentiated reality as different objects. The same undifferentiated, what I am seeing outside is Brahman only, undifferentiated reality. But on that undifferentiated reality, the limitation of senses superimposes the form. Okay? Senses superimpose the form because senses cut the reality. The eyes have only this much ability to see something. So beyond that, it cuts. The ears have the ability to hear something. It cuts the experience. So experience of one undifferentiated reality is cut into many because of the sense organs. So if there is sense organs don't cut it, what is there is undifferentiated reality, the consciousness. But even if you cut, the person who has realized Brahman, he experiences that undifferentiated consciousness as the underlying reality in all experiences. The world is nothing but the name and form superimposed on Brahman. What is form superimposed on Brahman? Form is nothing but the sense organs. Without sense organs, you can't see the form. So on the undifferentiated reality, you superimpose the form because of senses. And the moment the forms comes into picture, the mind puts a name to that. It calls it moon. It calls as mountain. So the process of naming, which comes from memory, and process of sense organs, these create form and name. But what is underlying that is consciousness only. That is Brahman. A person who has realized Brahman as the self experiences the world also as Brahman, experiences that undifferentiated consciousness in Brahman world. To give an example, okay, somebody sees a snake in the night. He's afraid. Then when he shines the torchlight, the snake is not there, only rope is there. Then he switches off the torchlight, again snake is seen, but there's no fear, right? He sees the snake, but then he says it's only rope, right? Does he see the snake now? He sees the snake because that's darkness. But he knows it's a rope. Understand? Similarly, a person who has transcendental experience comes back to the duality of the world, sees the world as a superimposition on consciousness, just like a snake is superimposed on the rope. Even if the world is there, he knows it's only consciousness. The world doesn't disappear because sense organs don't disappear. The world of differences doesn't disappear because it appears as if it's superimposed on the consciousness. So now he knows this is not the world, this is a consciousness. That's why he says Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. Even though a person sees the snake after knowing that it's a rope, he knows it's not a snake, it's a rope. Like what did he say? Before he'd know anything, before he was walking in the forest, he saw a snake. Now it's snake. He says, "Oh, snake, snake, snake," because it's snake for him. Then he switches on the light. There's no snake but rope. Then switches off the light. Again, there's a snake scene. Hey, it's a rope. He'll not say it. He'll not cut as a snake. Correct? It's no longer a snake for him. Similarly, before realization, Jiva says, this is the world. After realizing Atma, oneness with Brahma, the Jiva sees the world, but it doesn't call it as a world. It says it's Brahman only, consciousness only. There's no more Jiva, there's Brahman only. It's undifferentiated consciousness only. Over that, the world is superimposed because of sense organs. World is nothing but name and form superimposed on Brahman. So the world has no reality, Brahman has a reality. Are you clear? So there's no separate relation, it's all one relation. Okay. So for example, this is a piece of paper. Now this piece of paper, there's a rocket here. Okay. So the piece of paper has become rocket. So what happened to the paper? Paper is forgotten and rocket only is there. Rocket is the form. So the eye sense organ see form of the rocket and mind says it gives a name to the form and says it's rocket. Okay. But in reality, all this is paper only. Similarly, even though world appears, because of superimposition by the sense organs and naming by the mind, in reality there's only pure consciousness, undifferentiated. And consciousness, there's no object at all. There's no other. Okay. So this is the state of realization of Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. All this is Brahman. This is called Sarvatma Bhava. I am one with everything. So all the name and form is Mithya. The undifferentiated consciousness is Satya. For a person who has seen the rope after getting afraid of snake, there's no more fear. He sees the rope only, even if he sees the snake. So after realization, it doesn't mean that our senses will undergo changes. Senses will be same. You'll see the same world, but your understanding of the world has changed drastically. The example for that, another example for that I can give, is Earth, sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So we think that sun is going around the Earth. Then the school teacher says, no, Earth is going around the sun based on science teaching. So then next morning, your perception will not change. Earth doesn't go around the sun, but your understanding has changed. Similarly, once after you have transcendental experience, your understanding of the world changes, even though you see the differences because the perception, you experience the underlying reality as undifferentiated consciousness. This is the meaning of Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma.